It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at how to know if any room is bugged. You may think you know who's seeing and hearing what's going on in the room you're in right now. But can you say that for every room? How do you know the room you're in doesn't have a secret camera or microphone in it? Well, if you don't have enough money to deploy a whole security team, here's how to find out if any room is bugged very easily. Before we get into it, why not help me out by subscribing and pressing the notification bell too? Hotel in Seoul, South Korea had bugged tons of guests. Hundreds of guests at this hotel in South Korea were secretly filmed and live streamed online. That's right, over 1,600 people who'd stayed at this hotel had cameras and microphones in their rooms secretly recording them. These were put in 42 different rooms in the hotel. They put them all over the place, like in a hotel wall outlet and in a hairdryer stand. How crazy is it that everything these people were doing in the hotel rooms was being live streamed online? But how can you get around ever being bugged in a hotel room or any other room you go into? Well, it's actually pretty easy if you try out this one amazing tip. This tip is called the phone camera trick. Amazingly, all you need to find out if your room is bugged is your smartphone's front camera. Well, chances are your smartphone camera can pick up more than the eye can see. That is because smartphone cameras can actually see infrared light. Now remember, you can only do this with your front-facing camera. That's because most rear-facing cameras are more advanced and they have infrared filters. You can test if your phone's camera can see infrared light using your remote control. Simply point a TV remote at the camera and then press any button. There should then be a red infrared flash on your camera screen. It's amazing that our eyes can't see this, but with a phone you can see infrared light. Next thing you need to do is turn off all the lights in the room you're scanning. Then move your phone's camera all around your room and bathroom. This will then detect any hidden cameras as it will pick up the infrared light coming from the camera. If you see any red light, then your room is bugged and you need to ask for a new room. Simply doing this quick camera phone trick before settling down in a hotel room could save you a lot of hassle. You may think that will never happen to me, but I'm sure those 1,600 other people thought the same thing. You never know when your room could have been bugged, and it could have been the person who was in there before you. Just think, most maids probably wouldn't check every nook and cranny of a room, so it's easy enough to hide a camera or microphone. But if you use this camera phone trick, you'll be able to find out if your room's bugged or not. But what are some other ways to see if a room's bugged? Well, I have some more amazing tips which really help you out as well. One quick tip that doesn't need too much explanation is listen. When you go into a room, listen out for a quiet buzzing or clicking noise. Hidden cameras and microphones are supposed to be very discreet, but most recording devices do actually give off a slight sound. This may be the capture card working or something else. So it's worth walking into a room, being silent for a moment, and just hearing out any devices that may be there. You can often do this late at night in your room to get rid of any ambient sounds. All you have to listen out for is a low buzzing sound or a clicking noise. It might be easier to simply record your room with your phone and listen back. Sometimes microphones on cell phones can actually pick up a lot more than the ear can hear. Another tip would be to check out any electronics in the room you're in. Did you know that the #1 spot people hide cameras in is in smoke detectors? They think that people probably won't want to mess with a smoke detector, so they simply put it in there. But guys, don't be afraid to check out your smoke detector before settling down in a room. Simply take your smoke detector down from the ceiling and check for any microphones or cameras. You can also check out any lamps, speakers, and other electronics in your room. Someone could have easily added in a microphone or drilled a hole and put a camera in there. According to experts, people who bug rooms like to hide their devices in plain sight. That's why you should look for very obvious things like smoke detectors, as they'll likely hide it in one of those. For example, in the South Korea case we just mentioned, they hid them in a hotel wall outlet and a hairdryer stand. They did this because these things hide in plain sight. Most people aren't going to be poking around in their hairdryer stand, but maybe you should. All they had to do was simply drill a hole and put in their secret hidden cameras. All of the guests simply said they saw the holes, but they just wrote them off as something that was part of the design. But guys, most electronic devices don't have holes in them, so if you see one, investigate it. Another really great tip to see if someone's watching you is to check for any two-way mirrors in your rooms. Did you know a few years back in Florida, a nightclub was closed down because it had a two-way mirror inside it? That's right, inside the women's restroom, there was a two-way mirror. Guys could actually pay to go into a room and see these women secretly. What? A two-way mirror is basically where on one side it's a mirror, but the other side is glass. So if you're shaving, putting on makeup, or doing anything else in front of a mirror, someone can see you and you'd be none the wiser. Well, don't worry, there's a very easy way to check for two-way mirrors. All you need for this is a flashlight. You can even use the flashlight from your phone. If you think a mirror may be a two-way mirror, then turn off the lights in your room. Then grab a flashlight and press it up against the glass. If it's a two-way mirror, you'll be able to see the room on the other side. But if all you get is a reflection, then it's simply a regular mirror. But what if you don't have a flashlight? Well, have no fear, you can use your finger to do the same test. Simply place your finger onto the mirror. If you see a gap between your finger and its reflection, then you have a real mirror. But if there's no gap, then this is a two-way mirror and somebody could be watching you. People have even been known to put cameras on the other end of a two-way mirror to film you, so watch out. Another great tip is to check for any decorations that look out of place in your room. If you see a teddy bear, then this may well be a hidden camera. Many people buy these teddy bears with hidden cameras built into their eyes to spy on people. These are actually made for parents who want to check up on babysitters they leave their kids with. But sometimes odd people can use them to spy on you, so check them out. Again, if you use your phone and do the infrared light test, you'll be able to see any infrared lights coming off unusual decorations. You should also check behind things, for example a hotel mini fridge or a vase of flowers. Sometimes people simply hide cameras behind things poking out slightly. And the final tip to see if your room is bugged is to check for any unusual wires. In every room with electronics, you're going to have some wires, so don't panic. But what if you see some odd wires that don't seem to lead anywhere? Well, if you see a wire that doesn't seem to lead anywhere, this could be a surveillance device. Short-term surveillance devices are usually powered using a battery. But if there's a long-term surveillance device in your room, this will need a power outlet. That's why if you see an unfamiliar wire and you can't figure out what it's powering, then you should unplug it. It may be nothing, but it may also be hooked up to a surveillance device which is spying on you. So guys, that was the foolproof ultimate guide to know if your room is bugged and how to unbug it. Vote in the poll in the top right corner to let me know if your room has ever been bugged. Luckily mine hasn't, and hopefully it never will be now that I know all these great tips and tricks. If you guys want to check out...
See that? Alright, let that sink in. Like, if you ever travel, even in your own house, just keep looking. There was another TI. I'm subscribed to his channel. I guess he moved now because he hasn't posted anything in a while, but he said his brother put a little spying camera in the smoke detector. And he was sitting in the living room and he noticed the smoke detector was like making like a little flashing light. And he took the cover off and he saw the camera. And then another time he went to the bathroom and the mirror was open. You know, usually you don't leave the mirror open unless, you know, you're getting your toothpaste or whatever out of the cabinet. And he saw like this little, like a square, a tiny square, like a sticky square. But before that, his brother would walk in, same brother, and would yell at him to leave it open, to leave the mirror open, the men's cabinet. He's like, why the hell is he saying that? And he saw where the little square would be when you stick the camera. So he noticed that. And like somebody took it off. Like somebody came in and took it off because he figured it out. He found the recording device in his old bedroom. So I guess, you know, you always have to look out for these things. Just because I live by myself don't mean that nobody could put anything like that in my, you know, house. I will be looking around eventually. I just wanted to share this video with you. I had saved it for such a long time. I wanted to try to videotape it for you guys to listen and watch. Alright, so just be aware, okay?